Welcome to the Spiritual Principles Made Practical podcast. And the question today is, what do we do to increase our sense of self-worth? And really, it's all about being honest with ourselves because we're amazing. How valuable is it that we create the entire world in an instant, every instant? How valuable is that? Now, that's not something that most people can relate to. So let's back up a couple steps and let's go to understanding more of our power, okay, and the value that that power is, right? So that what happens is that with our mind, we've created our entire world, so we have immense power, and the real value is accepting that power. So the way to have more value is to accept more of our power, and that means to reflect honestly on how we've used our power to create our life. And once we understand how we've used our power to create our life, then we can consciously direct that power more, or just in general have a greater appreciation for the value and the power that we have to create. Because um, I've created some really challenging situations in my life, and uh, when I reflect back on that, I say, yeah, I remember setting my intention to marry somebody that was really going to challenge me and open up new vistas and wouldn't get sort of lost in me and lose their sense of self. And it was like, yeah, yeah, no, I created that in spades, and it was like I've got my marriage challenges me to be a better person, and even more so than that, it uh, has me being married to somebody who is worth the effort, right? So, in my first marriage, when my wife cheated on me and all this other stuff, uh, I had the opportunity and the choice to go to therapy and work it out and so forth. And I said, no, I'm not going there. I'm filing for divorce. This is over. Because I didn't see enough value in that relationship to make it worth making the effort to work out our problems. When I've had problems in this marriage, which is almost 40 years now, there's never been a time when I haven't responded to the challenges that have arisen by saying, I'm going to dig deeper. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to find a way to make this work. And so it's been a challenge that I'm up for. And so when I understand that, it has me view my marriage and all of the challenges and difficulties there in a much different light. Because I go, yeah, I understand that I created this challenge in my life, and I understand why I created it. That I had to have somebody that I was married to that I loved and cared for enough to make the efforts necessary to make things work. And I understand that. And so it's like, okay, so it gives me a different perspective, right? So many people say, well, I don't know if I would have stuck it out with all of the difficulties that your wife has and stuff. And I go like, no, I couldn't live with myself, wouldn't do it. It'd be completely wrong to bail. And so it's kind of where it is. But anyway, that's how I'm using accepting my power as a means of accepting more of my value, right? So I'm really valuable, and I've created now um, an opportunity to run for office, and so I'm going to be on the ballot in the upcoming election. And it's like I created that opportunity, and uh, and we'll see if my creative skills are sufficient to actually win the election or not, because it's a contested seat, right? But nevertheless, there's joy in understanding and being aware of how I created the circumstances to get myself on the ballot. And not only that, is there's joy and I'm in the inspiration that I'm getting on how to run my campaign, you know. So there's joy in each step, right? And that's the power that I have is that I have the ability to create my life with joy. And and I understand that power and I have that power because I've reflected back on what I've done and the what I've done that has created this life. You know, I just published my 14th book, you know, Creation, the How and the Why, right? To understand more and more and more of how it is we create, you know, and it's like, okay, um, you know, I had the value of that book is off the charts, right? I mean, who doesn't want a greater appreciation and understanding of how and why we create in our life, right? So um, it's an amazing book, and I am accepting more and more of my power in having written that book. Now, part of me says, you know, oh no, people aren't going to buy that book in large numbers, and you know, but already, you know, people, at least one person has said, oh no, do I get it from you or do I get it from Amazon? You know, I'm excited to read the book, you know, so at least somebody. You know, is interested in and is reflecting the value that I believe that I have back to me, right? So that's really all we need to do to increase our sense of self-worth is to understand how powerful we are in our creation. And when we understand how powerful we are, we go like, wow, that's worth everything to be able to be aware of how powerful we are and how effective we are at creating the world that we live in. And the more honest we are with ourselves, the more we accept the astronomical value that we truly are. So do that. Just honestly accept who and what you are, and you'll experience appreciating the value that you are to a huge degree. As I said, my new book, Creation, the How and the Why, is available on Amazon. You can find links to it on my website, www.thoughtcoachingbyscott.com. And my coaching is available. You can contact me for an introductory free coaching session to have a greater understanding of your thoughts and how those thoughts create and the power to choose which thoughts you want to actually create with and which thoughts you want to just let go. And I can help you with that. And to get a free introductory session, email me with coaching in the subject line, scottfriedman40@gmail.com, SCOTTFRIEDMAN, financial, FIN. No, that's not right. Email me at scottfriedman40@gmail.com. There we go. scottfriedman40, SCOTTFRIEDMAN40@gmail.com to schedule the free introductory coaching session. Okay. All you need to do to experience tremendous self-worth is be honest with yourself because you are already hugely worthy. You just need to be conscious and accepting of that fact.